Locke and Key Season 3, the finale of the show. Yes, it is confirmed, and it's really obvious if you watch the season that this is the last season of the show, and perhaps that's a good thing. Locke and Key has had a bit of a tumultuous life. If you've seen my lightning review for Season 2, you know I think their follow-up season wasn't anywhere near as good as the first season. Fortunately, this third season is better than Season 2, without a doubt, but it's still nowhere near as amazing as Season 1 was. Honestly, my biggest recommendation is to just watch Season 1 and call it quits there. As for Season 3 itself, it's a bit all over the place. First things first, my biggest gripe about Season 2, the pathetic villains, has been fixed. Gideon, the demon chasing down the keys this time around, is an amazing villain. He's threatening, brutish, he's the most aggressive threat the heroes have faced so far. And his two goons do a great job supporting him, feeling like these thuggish soldiers in their own right. They're an interesting threat. The show does a good job making it feel like the Locke family is just barely keeping Gideon at bay, which does make the battles with him feel thrilling. But this is about where my compliments end. My biggest gripe with this season is with the Locke family themselves. They seem sort of, I don't know, absent? The thing that confused me the most was how I expected the characterization to happen. Season 1 was clearly focused a lot on Tyler. Yes, all three of the Locke kids are the main protagonists, but Tyler was the one that got most of the profound growth in his arc. Then in Season 2, it was Kinsey's turn. I thought for sure this last season was going to be Bodhi's turn to really have the most depth given to his development. But no! And it's not like one of the others got it instead, they all feel kind of distant. It's not like last season where each character had their own little mini arc within the larger narrative. Instead, they just kind of feel complacent, like they're there, but they're not really doing anything all that noteworthy. Tyler starts the story having forgotten about magic, and it takes up until the halfway point for him to remember. Then once he does remember, he doesn't really do much of note. Kinsey has a brief episode with her mom where they rehash her mom's alcoholic arc for no reason. Like, guys, we got this resolved back in the first season. Why are we doing this again? And then after that, Kinsey also really doesn't do much of note. Admittedly, Bodhi is the one to have the most ambition towards doing something. He's not taking the idea of his mom dating again very well, still hung up on losing his father. What a great setup for Bodhi's character, right? Well, wrong. He finds a special time travel key and stupidly brings Dodge back from the past, and then Dodge uses the ghost key to take over Bodhi's body. So all that potential for Bodhi to grow in this way is instead replaced with most of this season having Bodhi being possessed by Dodge. And this whole Dodge returning plot point is so dumb. After last season and now with their abysmal portrayal here, Dodge has lost everything that made them interesting. Dodge is barely trying to pretend they're Bodhi, actively picking fights with everyone, cowering before Gideon. What a joke. I don't want to watch Dodge fail at being a 10-year-old boy. I wanted to see Bodhi actually getting to grow. And the way Bodhi brought Dodge back was stupid and contrived. He tried to use the key to see his dad again, but instead accidentally walked into the finale of Season 2, where he just uncharacteristically goads to Dodge that they lose. This scene is so weird. This doesn't feel like something Bodhi would do. Stand around and tease Dodge about how much better he is than them? What? Then 2 minutes later, he goes back to cowering from Dodge after they chase him to the present. It's so contrived and lazy and feels so out of character. Then for the rest of the show, it almost feels like the writers just had no idea what the kids should be doing. They spend all their time hanging around. Not like Kinsey in Season 2, who seemed to be actively disengaging from the plot for no reason. No, for most of the season, the Locke family isn't even aware of the plot. It takes until like 3 episodes left before the family even realizes Gideon is a threat, and Dodge has taken over Bodhi. For being a show about magical keys being introduced every episode, it's surprisingly boring. And that's another thing. They introduce a new key nearly every single episode, which is cool, but also a little disappointing. We get all these awesome new keys right at the end, and each key really only gets used once before disappearing. Even the cool keys they've gotten from the prior seasons. They barely use them, and when they do, it's something small. Aw man, the plant key. Remember how that one could make things grow and it's really cool? What if we use it to just decorate the archway for the wedding? Ooh, riveting. The angel key. Dodge uses it once and then instantly gets caught and then they never use it again. This awesome new key that lets them draw something and it magically comes to life. It's introduced in the last episode and they draw 3 things with it. And one of those things was a door. It just feels like such a waste of a cool idea. The fun of season 1 was the fact that Dodge was actively using the keys and it was a constant threat. Who had which key and where the keys were was super important and could greatly shift the flow of their fights. Here, Gideon barely uses the keys. He instead opts to just run forward and punch shit, using the keys to instead open a very boring blue portal, which, it's fine, it's just not nearly as creative and fun. We got all these magic keys, and I feel like the magic is barely there. All in all, it's a fine season, better than last time, but still disappointing. Like, last season might have been worse, but it was also much more memorable. This final season feels more like a whisper, which is a disappointing way to send off the show. I'm glad this is the end for Locke and Key, because honestly, finishing this season felt like enough of a chore. They clearly ran out of ideas once they finished season 1, which was also where the comics apparently ended, and you can tell the showrunners just didn't quite have the same level of creativity as the comic writers did. What a shame. It all had so much potential, but it's all just kind of meh. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Azoth, Great Bar, Pentamenta, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Keithan, Isaiah, Joseph, Scaring Crows, Danny Boy, Mary, Messiah Complex, Jacob, Renji, and Virus O. What did you all think of Locke and Key? It's all 3 seasons. It's not a bad story. It's fun and creative, but I don't know, this 3rd season was just hard to remember, really. Any all thoughts and opinions about Locke and Key and stuff? If you have suggestions about, like, lightning reviews you want me to do or anything like that, leave them in the comments. I'd love to give it a shot. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.